Hello, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today I want to talk a little bit about why I'm sitting in this pen, and I want to cover compensation mating, breeding selection, and clan mating versus pair mating. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's all really pretty straightforward. So in this pen, I have 9 pullets who all just started laying over the last 3-4 weeks. And there's a boy in with them. That's promising. But this is by no means a finalized breeding plan, because there's more to it than just getting fertilized eggs. So while 10 females to 1 male is usually enough for fertility, if you're actually doing the work of breeding, there's still more work to do. So this week, during our 40-degree heat wave, I'm going to go through bird by bird. I'm going to get weights on these girls, and I'm going to confirm that they meet the 5-pound minimum for their weight. Now, when you consider a flock, that flock of chickens is all made up of their individual express traits. And each one is going to be a little bit different than the others. It's pretty common for people to put a lot of focus on the male, but really, the girls matter a little bit more. So you have high value traits such as growth rate, fleshing, body capacity, their overall type and structure. And then you have low value traits like combs. I don't know that many people that eat combs. And they're pretty easily changed just by your breeding arrangements. So I put all my focus on the high value traits, and I make sure that both the male and the female are complementary in the high value traits. And then I sort out those little details of combs, or a specific tail set, or feathering. There's at least one pullet in this pen that has way more cushion in front of her tail than I want to see, because technically the American breasts are supposed to be a pretty tightly feathered bird to show off the shape, to show off what their substance actually is. You don't want an overly fluffy bird because it gives you an illusion of what the body shape is, and you want to see what they're working with from the outside in. So that tight feathering helps. Now, when I sit in these pens and I'm watching them and I'm comparing them to each other before weigh day, I kind of get an idea of what I'm working with. Now, of the 9 pullets in this pen, I've already ruled out at least 3 of them. Just by what they're showing me in the traits, I already know they're not suitable for the male that's in here with them. So they're going to come out, and I'll figure out if I have a better male to compensate for their shortcomings. If I don't, then they go on to make breakfast eggs. I'm not going to hatch from them, because the biggest mistake you can make when you're breeding birds is hatching from all of your females. Some of them aren't really breeding quality once you get into the details. There's also no such thing as the absolute perfect chicken. Perfection is something that you pursue. Actually finding it takes a while. It takes a lot of knowledge. It takes a lot of trial and error. It takes a lot of hatching to figure out if you've actually achieved perfection. All of the flock decisions you make leading up to that will guide you in the direction of if you might actually achieve it or not. But so far, there's not a single poultry breeder on the planet who has actually technically achieved 100% flock perfection. It's an unrealistic goal. But if you're doing your breeder due diligence, you're chasing it, you're working on it, you're looking for it, and you're basing your decisions on the birds who are most likely to have you get in that direction. So compensation mating is when you evaluate males and females both, You figure out what traits they have in common that are all positive traits. And balance is the main goal. And then the little details of what you do and don't like of a particular bird. Hopefully their mate has that trait pretty nice so that the chicks have better odds of resulting in the new flock that meets your goals. So as I sit and watch, this one in the corner is pacing around trying to figure out where she's going to put her egg. This one is being nosy, wondering why I'm sitting here. Some of them are outside playing in the rest of the snow, and these two decided they'd rather take a nap. Same kind of activity level going on in the other pens. But this is my biggest group of point of lay pullets to get through this week. So I'm going to sit and watch them today. Now, it seems to be pretty standard that most people hatch from a clan environment. And that's multiple hens in with a male, and you track your pen results, but not necessarily by the bird results. This season, I'm hoping to get heavy into pair hatching, and a little part of me wishes I would have started there in the beginning. Because pair hatching, that really shows what you're getting in your results down to the individual birds that you used. There's a lot of valuable flock data you can collect in that of who you're actually getting your better results from and who you're getting the less than desirable traits from. And once you establish that little list of your major players of who's producing great results versus those that are kind of nah, or I don't even know why I hatched those eggs if the results are that bad. Now, the good thing about a dual-purpose breed is you get to eat all your mistakes. So that's why I persisted with clan mating for so long, because I'll just grow them out, see what's going on, eat who needs to be eaten, and select out what's good. But it dawned on me last season, I'd really like to know who's producing my best results, because those are the birds I need to focus on. Those are the birds I need to hatch every single egg they lay. But it's a process to find those birds. And it starts with selection. It starts with finding out who their best mate is. And then going through the data collection of when you're growing out a batch of birds. And that's where you want to band your chicks. You want to weigh them weekly. If you're an overachiever, you do it daily. If you're doing it as you can, every 2 to 3 weeks is helpful. Just, you want to get familiar with the genetic expression that's happening in your flock. Pair mating, it lets you be the most familiar. You know exactly where your best came from. Clan mating makes it a little trickier than it needs to be. But no matter what, you're doing work. It's all effort, no matter which method you choose. And I'm going to move away from clan mating and embrace pair hatching. I get questions every year when I go through my babies and I'm looking at, well, where did this come from? Why is this particular bird doing that? Who are the parents? In the clan environment, there's no way to know. If you're pair hatching, you know exactly. So I'm going to have some more videos coming through this week as I go through these girls bird by bird. And I'll talk more about high value traits, lower level traits that are relatively insignificant, but if you're chasing perfection, they matter. And a little bit more on compensation mating as we find the females in this pen that are worth breeding from, and then figuring out which male they should be with. And depending on your space and depending on your hatch capacity, you can always change the male they're with. You can break your season up into quarters or thirds or halves. There's a lot of different ways you can get through a season to really figure out what you're working with. Hopefully, this explanation helps explain why I put this effort in. Because at the end of the day, I want effective call management. I want useful dud birds. The ones who don't come up as breeding quality, I want them to really fill out a shrink bag. I want them to have their own market. And if they're breeding quality, well, I want to be able to share those birds and have those for myself for refilling our flock. But effective call management, that's the crux of a breeding situation. Because not everyone that hatches is going to be breeding quality. There's not that many people that want to buy your junky birds either. But there's a whole bunch of people who will buy your junky birds if they fill out a shrink bag real good. And that's my plan. Dinner. And keeping a good thing going. And really honing in on the craft of breeding. It's not really for the faint of heart. Some of these girls might end up in the freezer themselves. I don't know. We'll find out. But in the meantime, they're spoiled. They get to do what they want. Live their little chicken life. It's going to be a busy week. It's our first warm spell. And these girls are first on the list. Maybe tomorrow. We'll find out. If you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments. I do eventually get through and answer comments, especially if there's a question mark involved. Because I want to empower you guys to also do good things with your flock. I'm not trying to be greedy. I'm not trying to be stingy. I want to teach you how to do this too. So feel free to like and subscribe. I'll do my best to let you know what I know with proof in video form. Alright, I'm gonna keep hanging out with chickens and get on with my day.